Welcome, everyone. It's Monday. It is Monday, and it is raining yet again. But you know what? My mother said to me, thank God for the rain. So, here we are. But before we get started, I don't know if my mother's listening or not, but I do know that today is a glorious day. It is Mummy's birthday today. Woo! Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday, Mother. How blessed am I Mhm. to have such a fantastic mother. Truly, a wise woman she is. She sure is. And I love her. Indeed, I do. And she's got the best green thumb in the world. And so today we're talking about from the garden to real life. So if we think about that for a moment, because sometimes people ask me, they're like, well, how do you know that the laws are real? How do you know the laws are real, they ask. Even if you did not know them, like to name them, the reason why I called it from the garden to real life is simple. Because if you go outside in the garden, you will realize that you can only get out of the garden what has been planted in it. So you use the principle of correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without. And so you use that principle and you compare your mind to that of a garden. You want to change your life? Well, it is like rotating crops. Because if you plant the same crop over and over and over and over and over again, you deplete the soil. So you rotate the crop to do what? Maintain the integrity of the soil. So that tells us that what we think incessantly does have a depleting effect, whether it is good, bad, or indifferent. In traditional Chinese medicine, overthinking depletes the function of the spleen. Not function as in Western medicine terms, right? No, there's a function that the spleen has to transport and transform fluids, make chi, blood, move it around the body. But when we overthink, remember, the body always responds to the mental mood. And so each organ has a particular emotion. Remember, as within, so without. And that particular emotion has an effect. So, sometimes when people win the lottery, they drop dead, right? Not all the time, but sometimes they do. The chi has been scattered so much by overjoy. Oh, didn't that Stevie Wonder? Na, 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 da, 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 da. Right? Anyway, so too much, doing too much of the same thing does not have a good effect on the body, whether it is good, bad, or indifferent. It is just too much. So, overthinking, that pensiveness, that worry, that fretting that we tend to do as humans depletes the body. But so too does excessive joy. Remember that. So what does the garden teach you? The garden teaches you observation. How do you know how the soil is doing? By observing the plants. So how do you know how you are doing? By observing your experiences. Indeed. So if you go out to the garden, and this is why Neville Goddard has the lecture called The Pruning Shears of Revision. When you prune something, there's a time to prune. There's a time to prune. You don't prune the plant at the height of its life, and you don't prune it in the winter either. So you watch it and you see what it's doing. And that's when you prune it. Now, pruning may seem to be cruel or harsh, but what it's doing is it is removing that which is taking the essence that, so if a branch is dead and you leave it there, it still will get the essence. Cut it off so that the essence is rediverted to what is alive so that it can flourish. So, what attitude are you living in that needs to be pruned? And how do you prune it? Well, in the garden, you have shears and you physically cut it. But in the mind, you can't physically do it because it's mental. So if you recognize that it is attention, that is what the essence is, attention. So you remove the mental attention from where you don't want it, i.e., complaining. Move the mental attitude from one of complaining to one of thankfulness. Why? Because when you remove it from complaining, you've just pruned complaining out of your life. Because it does not nourish you in any way, but it depletes you though, and you don't want to be depleted. You see, even scripture tells you you'll be like a tree planted by the water. Why is that? Because when you have a steady source, when you are connected to a steady source, you shall be nourished. So where's the water that you can plant yourself near to? The principles, mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. If you plant yourself near those things, you will flourish. You will know when to prune, and you will know what to prune, and you will also know what to plant, when to plant. I often marveled at why garlic is planted in the fall, because the ground is cool and garlic likes to be in cool, dark places. So you plant it in the fall and you cover it over with leaves and everything else to trap the heat and the moisture so that it doesn't freeze. It likes to be cool, not cold. So it is deep in the earth where it is warm. And you will trap that warmth in there because it is still, it's warm, yes, but still cool. If you can see that. It is covered and it's warm to prevent it from freezing, yet it is still cool enough that the heat won't scorch it. So it is warm. It is right down the middle, not too hot, not too cold, but just right. Goldilocks. So you see, if you imitate what you do in the garden, look at the plants there. The ones that thrive, especially. If you've got vines, if you've got runners, if you look at your plants, you will notice they always go towards the light. I've got an ivy and it's running up the wall. It has literally glued itself to the wall with its sap, you know, and it's growing along and it always goes towards the light. So if it always goes towards the light, where is the light that I can go towards? What does the light do? Well, as we know, light causes quote unquote photosynthesis. To synthesize is to make. What does it make? It makes all the nutrients. It stimulates the making of the nutrients for itself. It is self-sustaining. It makes its own nutrients. So you and I have to be inspired from inside. You use the light to bring about your inspiration. You get your ideas. And if you notice, those ideas that you get when you turn towards the light, they do what? They nourish you. How do they nourish? How do they nourish you? They nourish you. Because remember, I told you last time, the mood is symbiotic, or the mood is parasitic. The mood that inspires you towards love, towards gentleness, towards caring. Well, that's symbiotic. It will feed you too. But the parasitic mental mood, oh, makes one bitter, angry. Nobody wants to be around that, right? So remember, we prune. Mentally, we prune. If you look at your life and you see, oh, but I've got so many problems. Well, you can equate those to weeds. Why? Not everything is a weed, you know. It is only classified as a weed because it wasn't supposed to be planted in the midst of what you presently want. That is what makes it a weed. This is why people are cruel to dandelions. When in actuality, it is one of the most potent herbs we've got, especially for the liver. Oh, yes. Dandelion tea, dandelion greens are really beautiful for helping the liver. But it is only called or considered a weed because it is growing on the lawn. And the lawn should just be grass. So, in relation to the grass, the dandelion is a weed. So, in relation to your life, a good life, a peaceful life, well, then, quote unquote, intrusive thoughts would be weeds. But intrusive thoughts do not materialize from thin air. Intrusive thoughts are simply effects. What is the cause? The mental mood. Remember, the mood is first. Thoughts and words and actions originate from the mood. Pay attention and you'll see it. Whatever mood you are in, if I play some Barry White, well then, I put you in the mood, right? How many children were conceived to Barry White? God only knows. But the mood, the thoughts, the words, and the actions always match. You will never get the opposite because you cannot reap what you did not plant. Even though I picked so many Saskatoon berries, I did not plant that bush. But because that bush was planted, that is the only fruit I can reap from it. So the mental mood is the seed that was selected by you, the mental farmer, the mental gardener, and you planted it in the dark recesses of your mind is where you planted it. But it has to bear fruit. It will always bear fruit. So if you can remember that seeds always bear fruit, because that is the outcome of planting, is to bear fruit. If you remember that, well, take it up now to your mind. What seeds have you planted today? Now remember, all seeds don't sprout in a day, do they? So that thought that you've been dealing with, that mental mood, that life experience that you're presently dealing with was not just planted yesterday. That's what I told my son the other day. He said something to me and I didn't hear it at first. I still didn't hear it. And I said to him, I was born too, but just not yesterday. you know, this is what it is. That mental attitude is one that has been percolating and growing and taking root for a long time. And that's why things that are firmly rooted seem to be very hard or difficult to uproot. Because once something has taken root, once it's taken root, it is doggone near impossible to remove it. If you don't know how to remove it. But you see, mentally, we know exactly how to remove it. The same way, you got the other one. You plant a new seed based upon the new thing you would like to experience. So you plant a new mental attitude and you begin to do what? You water it. How do you water a mental attitude? By going over it, giving it your attention. That's what you do. You water it. You talk to it. Well, I talk to my plants. When I pick Saskatoons, I say, ooh, girl, look at you. Mm, you got so many fruit. You're just bowing, aren't you? Under the weight of all of that sweetness. And I pluck one and I taste it and I say, ooh, this is sweet sugar. And I say, thank you for your sweetness. And I have some more and I eat some more and they are so tasty. But I always tell her, thank you for your sweetness. Plants have no idea what words you speak. But according to science, if you play some Mozart for your plants, oh, they respond so beautifully. So what must they do? They feel. They sense. They are aware. Oh, yes, they are aware. hmm So you see, everything is aware of its own self. So when you garden in your mind, what thought, or should I ask, what mood are you continually feeding and pruning and making lush and beautiful in your mind's eye? What mood is that? Because that mood is going to tell you exactly the type of experience you will have. The mood is predictive. prophetic if you want. Because why? You can only reap what you've sown. So if that mental mood has you feeling with pep in your step, a light-heartedness, a sparkle in the eyes, if that's what that mood makes you feel like, well, you may not be able to name the experience you will have, but you know exactly how you will feel as you encounter that experience. Because it's the way you feel on the inside. It is the mental mood that you have been fostering and nurturing and pruning. But if your mental mood is one of disdain, hatred, anger, rage, I wonder, I wonder what type of experiences you will have out in the world. And you know, some people say to me, but Angela, that's like expecting a lion not to eat you because you don't eat it. I've heard some of just about everything. What is the nature of the lion? That's its nature. It has to eat you because that is its nature. That is just its nature. And we all have a nature. So we live according to the nature that we have, which means I'm not going in no jungle, well, safari, because I'm snack size and I don't need a lion to lick his lips and go, ooh, look at this one. Look at the rump on this one. No, thanks. I'm okay right here. And this is why I don't go in the deep water either. Oh no, because it is not mine. I don't have the nature of a fish. Not physiological, no, no. So you see, we can take on the psychological nature of things. Look at the cheetah. How much poise does she have? She moves so beautifully, you know? Oh, indeed. Very thoughtful, very calculating. And she makes sure that when she breaks out into that sprint, it will be the most productive sprint. Why? Because why should you waste all that energy and not get your food? So she takes her time. And the tiger, well, it does not move as fast as the cheetah, but it moves quietly. Oh, indeed. So how do you move psychologically like the tiger? Quietly. You take your time. If you watch, just watch. Look at elephants, same thing. You can psychologically use their physiological to help you. They're big, so they don't necessarily move fast, but that they have weight behind what they do. So what you do matters. It has weight behind it. Everything is there. The law is always there at your beck and call. It's there, and it teaches you how to do things. But remember, it's all psychological. The universe is a mental creation. So let's go back to the garden. In my backyard, I have ants. Oh, oh yes, I do. But they're not stinging ants. But I also have ladybugs. Oh, yes, I have ladybugs. Let me tell you, when I mow that grass, all you see is red. Because the ladybugs come out from the vibration. So I make sure to mow as infrequently as possible to not disturb them. I didn't know they lived underground. They burrow. and then they come out and they are carnivorous. They eat aphids. So my apple tree doesn't have aphids. My other plants in the garden don't have aphids because they keep them at bay. Psychologically, how can you use that? By recognizing that each thing has its nature. And you use the nature of a thing to help the others, which is yourself, right? You can use the nature of a thing to help yourself. If things always reach for the light, well, then you do the same. Light isn't how. You could say, well, light-hearted, not burdened by things. Because in the winter when it snows, especially if it's that wet, heavy snow, sometimes the strongest bough breaks underneath that snow. So that tells you don't take on too much. Don't take on too much. Because even though you think you're strong, so is the oak. But look at it now, it's broken. Why? Because the snow. It was too heavy. Right? So recognize when something becomes burdensome to you. So what do you do to preserve your tree? You go outside, you take the stick of your broom, and you just gently nudge the snow off. So you shrug your shoulders and you go, okay, if I keep giving that attention, it's going to grow and it's going to get too heavy for me. So I'm going to change my mood. And every time I feel the heaviness, I will change my mood to something light. Why is that? Because the more you practice changing from one mood to a next, or to another, I should say, grammatically speaking, the more you practice changing from one to the other, you begin to develop a habit. Because you will recognize that even when you play the piano, there's a sustained pedal, is it not? A sustained pedal, but you have to let it go. So you don't over-sustain, you don't hold it for an extended amount of time. That's not what makes it beautiful. You see, we like to hold on. Well, I want to keep this good mood and milk it for all it's worth. That's all fine and good. But there are seasons. A time to bear and a time to not. So that means you can't hold the mood indefinitely. So what is the solution? You can't hold the mood indefinitely, but you can hold it frequently. You hold it, you let it go. You hold it, you let it go. You hold it, you let it go. Why? Because you will return to that which you habitually hold. That is how you do it. You create the habit so that you can always go back to that thing. Because you can't be in it indefinitely, but you can sure return to it all the time. You doubt me? Then one gets high. Does the high last indefinitely? No. The high becomes a low. But that which you partake of to become high, because it's not sustainable to maintain the high, you go back to the high over and over and over and over again. So this is why habits exist. This is why they exist. Right? So if you look at your garden, you will begin to recognize how to apply the nature of your garden to help you in your everyday life. You don't destroy something. You look at where it best fits and you use it in that area. Well, everything does have its purpose. For as annoying as grass would be, on a slope, it is a very good idea to have grass. Why? Because then it rains or the snow melts or anything of the sort, and you don't have something holding the dirt together, which would be the root system of the grass. That slope will erode and come right down on you. So it's not that grass is a nuisance. Grass on the front lawn to me is a nuisance because I can't eat it, but I gotta mow it and water it and fertilize it. Pfft, that is too much work. Let me plant some food in the front yard, but I must have grass on that slope to minimize the erosion. So you see, everything has its purpose, its nature, and if we observe it, we can apply it. We can apply it. They tell you that butterflies don't see their own wings. But you don't have wings to look at. You have wings to fly. So it can't see its wings, but it knows it has them, so it flies. We come along and we see it, and we admire it. Everything has its purpose. Look at Biscuit. Biscuit is learning how to fly. People say chickens don't fly. Oh, yes, they do. Oh, they sure do fly. And she's learning to fly. Because she got wings, right? She's learning to fly. How does she know she has them? You'd have to ask her. But she's got them, so she practices. She stretches. She's so cute and still so little. But you see, that's what we do. We're learning how to use these wings that we're taking on right now by the principles. So we get to use them and exercise them. This is how we apply them to our lives every day. You look at the harvest, which is your experience that you presently have. Mary, Mary, quite contrary, how does your garden grow? Silver bells and cockle shells and pretty maids all in a row. What's growing in your life? What is growing in your life? What are you experiencing? That's the first question. Look at it. Do you want it? Well, if it is beautiful, keep it. Why not? Nurture it. It will ebb and it will flow, but it will always come back to that thing. You know, perennials, annuals. You don't have to keep planting them. You plant them once and they ebb and flow every year. So for you and I, what is that thing in your life? What's that fruit? It's your experience. That's how you identify it. If you look at the quality of the experience you're having, it tells you the quality of the mental mood that you occupy. So if we practice, because remember, you cannot sustain the mood indefinitely. And don't they tell you with the Viagra, if you experience an erection for more than 4 hours, seek medical assistance because you cannot sustain something indefinitely because it has severe repercussions to do so. Right? That escalated quickly. So you look at what that experience is, and it's that mental mood. It's not that you are holding that mood all day long, but it's that you hold that mood more often than not hold that mood. So the key here is to select a new mental attitude and practice holding it and letting it go. Holding it and letting it go. Why? Because you're telling yourself, this is the mood that I want to choose most often. And the mood you choose most often is the one you will go to every single time. Neville Goddard calls it your home state, your mental state that you go to over and over and over again, thereby getting the same result. So you see, the nature of that ebb and flow is to prevent. See, every cause has its effect, and every effect has its cause. So erosion has already been thought of and mitigated. Oh, indeed. It has already been thought of and mitigated. Because when you keep planting the same thing over and over and over again, you do what? Erode the nutrients. You deplete it. But if you rotate the crops, you preserve the soil. So rotate your mood to preserve your mental faculties. Rotate the mood, friends. Anyway, I trust that it makes sense to you what gardening does. I trust that it made sense. I know it made sense to me. But if it doesn't make sense, first you don't succeed, dust yourself off and try again, right? Uh-oh, what? You know that jam? Speaking of jam, I have to make some. With all them berries, I gotta make some jam. See what we do? You can't eat them all at once, because you'll get sick. And your butt will hurt, because, fruit. Purge you right out. So you find a way to preserve. So find a way to preserve your mental faculties. Don't take on too much. Meaning, don't argue all the time. But is that your mental mood that you always go to argue? Trust me, I know a thing or two about arguing. And hollering, yes, I do. Habitually. So how do you make a habit? You do the same thing the same way every time. Right? So practice by first observing the fruit that you experience as your life experiences. If you don't like it, you ask yourself, what experience would I prefer instead? And then you select that mental mood often. Often. What did Neville say? Persistently. Choose that new mental attitude. Because as you persistently choose it, you form the habit of always going to it. Can't be sustained, but it can be frequently visited. There you have it. That is how you do it. Identify, make a choice, and go back to the choice you've made frequently. Because if you do that, you will change your mental, thereby changing your physical experience. And with that, I trust it makes sense. This is why in TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, if you have an excessive dampness in the body, you want a herb that will dry. If the carpet is wet, honey, what you do? Put a fan on it. Move the air around or apply heat from the fan, warm air, right? But you cannot over dry because now you create another problem. So you have to mix the herbs, one that drains and one that dries. You mix those two together and you do two things simultaneously, but now you want to nourish so that you don't overdrain and overdry, making the formula balanced. This is why you use a formula and not a single, because a single has a side effect. So to mitigate the side effect, you use the herb that counters. See, all that comes from observing nature. Because with all this rain we got, oh my, a lot of seepage is going on. Water's just seeping in because the earth is over saturated. So we need the heat, we need the sun to evaporate some of that. You evaporate too much and you get more rain. There is a balance. Everything is balanced. Anyway, who's here with us? And then we'll go. Because let me tell you something, Linda. I can talk all day if you let me. But always leave them wanting more. So, beloved love troll is here. Hello, my sweet. It is always good to see you. There's somebody here on YouTube too, but they haven't let me know who they are. So, to that I say, hey, how you doing? And on Fanbase, who is kicking it with us on Fanbase? We have Moon and Dolphin Duck. We got Flo Smiles. Hey, girl. And we got KZ, my sweet. Ah, we have Ray Ray in the house. We got Miss McQueen. And we've got Oracle Treehouse. I see you. I see you. Oh, you did? Oh. Well, look at you, Flo Smiles, talking about using the nature of something. My girl said she made a whole bunch of dandelion tea this year. Oh, look at you. Now, that is a true heart of an entrepreneur if I ever saw one. Yes. Yes. Yes, it is my mommy's birthday today. So these are everybody. This is everybody who's decided to hang out with us. And you notice something. You notice how quiet he is this morning? He might still be asleep. When I went out to get my devices, because I don't sleep with my phone and iPad in my room anymore. So I went out in the hallway to get them. And he perked up. I said, oh, it's still sleepy time. It's still sleepy time, baby. And I kissed him and he went right back to sleep. See? He knows. That's what you call hitting the snooze button. Tee. Yeah, Rue has a snooze button. Yeah, you just gotta kiss him on his crown. But when he ready, though, you can only hit snooze so many times. So, go forth today and recognize the harvest that you keep reaping. And change your mental mood often to one particular one until it becomes a habit so that you will ebb and flow from there. Oh, yes, indeed. We can't not make habits. So the solution is to make the habits that you can live with. Make the habits that you can surrender to. Willingly, gladly, make those ones. Instead of making the ones that make you say, get dang it, this again. Anyhow, I love you. You know where to find me, right here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Fanbase, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And with that, Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Much love to each and every one of you.